Chapter 2. The Forest of Secrets. Sam and Luke couldn't shake the feeling of unease as they ventured deeper into the woods surrounding Crestwood. The trees seemed to close in around them, their twisted branches casting ominous shadows on the forest floor. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding, and the friends exchanged anxious glances, their apprehension growing with each passing minute. As they walked, they shared stories about their families and the town they called home. Sam's father was a mechanic who owned the only garage in Crestwood, while her mother was a nurse at the local hospital. Luke's family ran the town's general store, a business that had been passed down through generations. Both families had deep roots in Crestwood, and the friends couldn't help but wonder what secrets might be hidden in their own histories. Their conversation shifted to the local legends surrounding the haunted woods. The tales they had heard growing up were both fascinating and frightening, and they couldn't resist the urge to learn more. Their curiosity had always been a driving force in their friendship, and this adventure was no exception. As they trekked deeper into the forest, the eerie atmosphere intensified. The sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy above, casting the woods in a perpetual twilight. The sounds of the forest were muted, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. Sam and Luke could feel the temperature dropping, a chill settling in the air around them. They pulled their jackets tighter, trying to shake off the growing unease. Their footsteps echoed through the silent woods, the only indication that they were not alone in the hauntingly still environment. The friends paused to catch their breath, leaning against the massive trunks of ancient trees. The bark was rough beneath their fingertips, a testament to the countless years these trees had stood sentinel over the forest. Luke pulled out a tattered map of Crestwood and the surrounding area, attempting to determine their location. Sam's eyes were drawn to a particular spot on the map, a location marked as the Devil's Clearing. According to the town's folklore, it was a place where dark rituals had once been performed, and where malevolent spirits were said to linger. She felt a shiver run down her spine, the stories she had heard as a child suddenly taking on a new significance in the oppressive gloom of the haunted woods. As they continued on their path, the friends couldn't shake the sensation of being watched. The shadows seemed to take on a life of their own, shifting and undulating with every step they took. The stillness of the woods was punctuated by the occasional snap of a twig or the rustle of leaves, sounds that seemed to emanate from just beyond the edge of their vision. Despite their growing apprehension, Sam and Luke pressed on, determined to uncover the mysteries hidden within the haunted woods. Their shared sense of adventure and unquenchable curiosity propelled them forward, even as the forest seemed to close in around them. Sam and Luke steeled themselves, determined to delve deeper into the cabin's mysteries. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding, as if the cabin itself was warning them to stay away. Their flashlights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls that seemed to dance and writhe with a life of their own. As they continued to explore, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind through the broken windows, sent shivers down their spines. They moved cautiously, their senses heightened as they searched for any sign of the mysterious presence that seemed to haunt the cabin. The friends eventually found themselves in a small, cramped room, the walls lined with shelves filled with dusty, mold-covered books. Sam picked one up, carefully brushing away the grime to reveal the title, The History of Crestwood. As she flipped through the pages, she noticed several passages that had been underlined or circled, with annotations scribbled in the margins. "What do you make of this, Luke?" Sam asked, her voice barely above a whisper as she showed him the book. Luke furrowed his brow, his eyes scanning the marked passages. It looks like someone was trying to piece together the town's history. Maybe they were searching for answers, too. They continued to examine the books, finding more evidence of someone's desperate search for knowledge. It seemed that the cabin's former inhabitant had been obsessed with uncovering the truth about Crestwood's past, particularly the legends surrounding the haunted woods. An unsettling presence. With every step they took deeper into the woods, Sam and Luke's unease grew stronger. The once vibrant forest colors seemed to become muted, and even the air felt different, heavy, laden with a sense of dread. They had to find answers, but neither of them could shake the feeling that they were being drawn towards something, or perhaps someone, sinister. As they trudged through the thick underbrush, the friends spotted something up ahead that seemed out of place. Nestled between two massive, gnarled trees was a decrepit, weathered structure, the same abandoned cabin they had discovered before. The wood was dark and rotting, the windows shattered, leaving only jagged shards of glass clinging to the frames. The door hung crookedly on its hinges, as if it had been forced open by some unseen force. Sam and Luke exchanged a nervous glance before approaching the cabin, their curiosity piqued by the eerie sight. They couldn't help but wonder who had built the cabin, and why it had been left to decay in the depths of the haunted woods. They cautiously approached the door, each of them feeling the weight of their own trepidation as they reached out to push it open. The door creaked loudly as it swung open, revealing a dark, dusty interior. Cobwebs adorned every corner, and the floor was strewn with debris. The once familiar furnishings were barely recognizable beneath layers of grime and decay. It was clear that no one had set foot in the cabin for decades. As their eyes adjusted to the dim light, they noticed that the cabin was larger than it had seemed from the outside. There were several rooms, each one more mysterious than the last. They stepped carefully over the debris, trying to piece together the history of the cabin and its inhabitants. In one room, they found a long-abandoned kitchen, the pots and pans still hanging from the walls, as if waiting for someone to return and cook a meal. The rusty utensils and chipped plates spoke of a time long past, and Sam and Luke couldn't help but wonder what had happened to the family that had once called this place home. In another room, they discovered a small library, the shelves lined with dusty, leather-bound books. The tomes were filled with arcane symbols and cryptic texts, hinting at a hidden world of knowledge and power. As they flipped through the pages, the friends felt a growing sense of unease. It was as if the books themselves held secrets that were not meant to be uncovered. The air in the cabin seemed to grow colder and heavier with each passing moment. Sam and Luke could feel the oppressive atmosphere pressing down on them, as if the very walls of the cabin were alive with a malevolent presence. The shadows seemed to deepen, and the friends couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched by unseen eyes. Despite their growing fear, Sam and Luke couldn't tear themselves away from their exploration of the cabin. They were drawn to the mysteries it held, as if compelled by some unseen force to uncover the truth. They knew that they were on the cusp of a discovery that could change everything they thought they knew about Crestwood and its haunted woods. Whispers from the shadows. As Sam and Luke delved further into the decrepit cabin, the overwhelming feeling of being watched intensified. The air was thick with an unseen energy, making it difficult to breathe. Their instincts screamed at them to leave, but their burning curiosity and the desire to unravel the enigma of the cabin overpowered their fear. The friends ventured down a narrow, dimly lit hallway. The floorboards creaked under their feet, echoing throughout the cabin. At the end of the hallway, they found a door, partially ajar. Behind it was a room that appeared to have been untouched by time, unlike the rest of the cabin. The walls were covered with newspaper clippings and photographs, some yellowed and torn, others seemingly fresh. Sam and Luke exchanged uneasy glances as they began to examine the clippings. They quickly realized that the articles were about the strange occurrences in Crestwood and the woods over the years, missing people, unexplained sightings, and eerie phenomena that had become the stuff of local legends. The photographs depicted the cabin and its surroundings, along with images of people whose faces were obscured or blurred. As they examined the images, the friends couldn't help but feel that they were looking at the remnants of someone's obsession. An obsession with the supernatural events that seemed to plague Crestwood and its haunted woods. As they continued to search the room, they discovered a series of letters hidden in a drawer beneath the clippings and photographs. The letters were written in a frantic, almost illegible script, and they told the story of someone who had been consumed by the mysteries of the woods. The writer spoke of a dark presence that haunted their dreams and drove them to madness, and of their desperate attempts to uncover the truth behind the supernatural events that seemed to plague the town. The more they read, the more Sam and Luke felt the oppressive atmosphere of the cabin closing in on them. It was as if the very words on the pages were imbued with a dark energy that seeped into their souls, filling them with an indescribable dread. The shadows in the room seemed to grow darker and more sinister, and the friends could have sworn they heard faint whispers echoing through the cabin. The whispers grew louder and more insistent until it was impossible to ignore them. They were unintelligible, yet filled with a palpable sense of malice and despair. Unable to bear the oppressive energy any longer, Sam and Luke stumbled out of the room, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they made their way back through the cabin, the whispers seemed to follow them, growing louder and more insistent with every step. Just as they reached the cabin's entrance, they heard a deafening crash from somewhere within the cabin, as if something heavy had been thrown to the ground. The friends exchanged terrified glances, knowing that whatever presence haunted the cabin was aware of their intrusion. Thank you for listening to Chapter 2 of The Secret of the Haunted Woods. Please be sure to subscribe and check out the inside look for a behind the scenes of this chapter. Keep an eye out for Chapter 3 coming soon.